Your body flinches at sudden sounds. Your heart races for no reason. You don't trust calm anymore. But healing isn't magic, it's biology. And today, we'll unpack every stage your brain and body move through as they find their way back home. What happens after trauma isn't just getting over it. It's a process. Complex, messy, and deeply human. Psychologists have studied this for decades, and they've found that healing unfolds in distinct stages, each one built on the last, like the body learning how to breathe again after being underwater. In this episode, we'll walk through every stage of trauma recovery, from the very first moment your nervous system fights to feel safe, all the way to the point where you finally begin to reconnect with life. We'll talk about what's happening inside your brain, how your body reacts, and why healing sometimes feels slower than you wish. Because trauma recovery isn't linear, it's a spiral. And if you've ever felt like you're moving backward, you're not failing. You're just revisiting the lessons your body didn't get to finish the first time. Stage 1. Safety and stabilization. The very first stage of healing is not about diving into your memories. It's about building safety. Because no one can process pain while their body still believes the danger is real. After trauma, your nervous system stays stuck in survival mode, constantly scanning for threats, even when you're home, even when you're safe. You might notice your body reacting before your mind does. A racing heart, tight shoulders, that sudden urge to escape a crowded room. That's your brain's alarm system, the amygdala, doing its job a little too well. Here's the truth most people miss. You can't heal a brain that's still on fire. You have to cool it down first. So this first stage is about stabilization, teaching your body it's safe again. Therapists often call this grounding. It's the gentle act of reminding your nervous system, the war is over, you survived. It can look simple. Slow breathing, placing your hand on your chest, feeling your feet on the floor, naming what you see in the room. But neurologically, these small acts rebuild the bridge between your prefrontal cortex, the rational brain, and your emotional brain, which trauma temporarily disconnected. Here's something counterintuitive. Healing often starts with boredom. When your body finally stops chasing danger, calm can feel strange, even uncomfortable. But that's the moment your nervous system begins to trust again. Safety isn't the absence of threat, it's the presence of control. And every deep breath, every moment you choose stillness, is your body remembering what control feels like. Stage 2. Remembrance and mourning. Once safety begins to take root, something unexpected happens. The memories start to return. Not always in words, sometimes in flashes, sensations, or dreams that feel too real. This is the second stage, remembrance and mourning. The part where your mind finally dares to look back. It's the most misunderstood stage of healing, because from the outside it looks like regression. You cry more. You feel fragile again. Old pain surfaces out of nowhere. But what's really happening is your brain, for the first time, believes it's safe enough to remember. Trauma fragments memory. When the event happened, your mind was too overwhelmed to file it neatly into the past. So the memory got trapped, floating, half-processed, like a movie stuck on pause. In this stage, you start pressing play. And that's when grief shows up. Not as an enemy, but as evidence that you're finally alive enough to feel again. You might mourn what you lost, a person, a sense of safety, an earlier version of yourself. You might feel anger, guilt, confusion. That's not weakness. That's the nervous system detoxing emotional residue it's carried for too long. Many therapists guide people here with tools like EMDR, somatic therapy, or narrative exposure, helping the brain link the memory with the emotion in a safe way, so it can finally be stored as something that happened, not something that's still happening. Healing doesn't mean erasing pain. It means integrating it. It's like taking a splinter out. Yes, it hurts for a moment, but then your body can close the wound. When you cry during healing, you're not falling apart. You're finally letting the story end. Stage 3. Reconnection and integration. There's a moment in every healing journey when the world starts to feel less threatening, and strangely, more empty. After so long surviving, peace can feel unfamiliar. That's where reconnection and integration begins. the stage of rediscovering who you are beyond the trauma. You start reaching out again, maybe meeting a friend for coffee, trying a hobby you once loved, or simply stepping outside without that invisible armor. It's not about pretending the past never happened. It's about realizing you're more than what happened to you. From a psychological view, this stage is where your identity expands. The brain starts rewiring neural pathways toward curiosity, empathy, and trust. In simple terms, your system begins to remember joy. But here's what no one tells you. Joy can be terrifying. After living in fight or flight for years, relaxation feels suspicious. You may catch yourself waiting for something bad to happen, just because things are finally good. That's not self-sabotage. That's the nervous system adjusting to safety. In therapy, this is the time for gentle exposure to life. Practicing relationships, setting healthy boundaries, exploring meaning. You begin to weave the trauma into your story, not as the headline, but as a single chapter. Healing doesn't erase who you were. It adds new layers to who you can become. It's the quiet confidence that says, yes, that happened, and I'm still here. Integration is when memory becomes wisdom, and wisdom is what turns survival into strength. Stage 4, Consolidation. This final stage is quieter, not dramatic, not cinematic, just steady. It's called consolidation, and it's where healing stops being a process and starts becoming a way of life. You no longer wake up every day thinking about what happened, but when you do, it doesn't hijack you anymore. The memory stays, but the charge is gone, like thunder after a storm that's already passed. Mini hook. The sign that you've healed isn't that you never feel pain. It's that pain no longer defines you. Here, your body trusts itself again. You recognize triggers before they spiral. You rest without guilt. You love without armor. And maybe, you even help others through their storms. Not because you owe anyone your story, but because you now understand the language of survival. From a scientific lens, this stage shows in the brain as restored balance between the amygdala, emotion, and prefrontal cortex, logic. You think clearer, respond slower, and live more deliberately. Your nervous system finally stops rehearsing disaster. It practices peace. New insight. True recovery is not returning to who you were before trauma. It's becoming someone wiser because of it. Healing, in the end, isn't about closure. It's about capacity. The ability to hold both joy and sorrow in the same breath and still choose life. And that's the quiet miracle of this final stage. Not perfection, but peace. So let's take a breath and look back. Healing from trauma isn't a straight road. It's a series of returns. Each stage calls you back to yourself in a different way. You start with safety and stabilization, teaching your body that danger has passed. Then comes remembrance and mourning, where you face what once broke you. Not to relive it, but to release it. You move into reconnection and integration, where your story widens and life feels possible again. And finally, consolidation, where peace becomes your baseline, not your goal. Every step, even the ones that feel like setbacks, is progress. Because healing isn't about never hurting again. It's about knowing what to do when you do. So if today feels heavy, remember, the very fact that you're watching, learning, breathing through this means you're already healing. If this video helped you understand your own healing journey a little better, take a second to share it with someone who might need it too. You never know whose night you could brighten with something as simple as a story about hope. And if you're still somewhere between the stages, that's okay. Healing doesn't follow a clock. It follows courage. Come back to this channel whenever you need to feel grounded again. We'll keep exploring how the mind and body recover, one gentle step at a time. So, subscribe if you want more science-based conversations about trauma, growth, and the human spirit. Because healing isn't something you do once, it's something you practice. You're not behind, you're becoming.